All right, back with another mock draft. I did this on the other side where I did the all NFC teams and let the PFF mock draft simulator pick the AFC. Now I'm simply just doing the opposite. So I'm picking the AFC. The PFF mock draft simulator will do the rest of the work for me, kind of can help simulate some of the surprises and some unique scenarios I might not have thought of prior. So yeah, let's just get into it. As always, it's hopefully just going to be an entertaining discussion more than anything. But yeah, let's get into it. So the first team I get is the Patriots. So let's see who I get to choose from. Williams and May. Was kind of hopeful that May would fall to me. Is not going to happen. I know a lot of people would go with Daniels here. I am not one of those people. Realistically, I think the Patriots would trade down in this situation if they didn't want to go with a player. So there are some trade options. Like let's see what the I guess for some reason the Vikings aren't considered on here. So I'll take Marvin Harrison Jr. Really good prospect, really good player. I think. Let me grab him. The Cardinals go with Joe Alt. Not sure if that would happen, but hey, okay, now there's a unique scenario for the Chargers. They technically could trade down if they want to. Daniels is still available. He's falling. I'm going to still go with Malik Neighbors. I think he's a really good player. If he falls at number 5 for the Chargers, who need a receiver, they should take him. J.J. McCarthy goes for the Giants. So, okay, some questionable decision-making, but I mean, I'm saying that, but at the same time, I have J.J. McCarthy higher on my board than Daniels, so maybe I shouldn't laugh too much, but just interesting. Hey, we don't know what's going to happen. We just don't. Number 7, the Tennessee Titans, who are in a unique scenario as Romeo Odunze, Brock Bowers, even Daniels is still available at this point. So again, I think really trade down would be the move. But as of right now, I'm really in between Odunze and Odunze is my top player still on the board. I'm just going to grab my top player still on the board. Quinyon Mitchell goes very early to Atlanta, which is interesting. And then Brock Bowers goes. So for the Jets, who I think would have loved to have one of the receivers or Brock Bowers fall to them. That did not quite happen and are now in a bit of a unique scenario. I projected Talise Fuaga to go to them a few times. I think that's what I'm still going to do. That just feels like a really good fit for them for what they're trying to do. So I'm going to go with that there. Number 12, the Denver Broncos, who, there's some quarterbacks available, like Daniels, Nix, Penix. Penix is my favorite of the bunch, so I'll just grab Penix, who I really like. I think he's good. And then for the Raiders, Raiders fans would be very thrilled if Daniels falls this far. I'll select him at 13. The Saints are going to get Alu Fashanu, a very good tackle, so that makes sense. And now the Colts are in a unique scenario, aren't they? Like, I feel like there is several ways they could go. And while this isn't a need pick at all, give me Byron Murphy. He's a really good interior defensive lineman. This feels like a steal getting him all the way at 15. I know it's not, for drafting for need, but if you know me, I don't love drafting for need. So that's not what I would do here. And in fact, for the Jaguars, who I don't think interior defensive line is their biggest need, I really like Newton here, and I'm just going to draft him. I think they could use a guy like that, so let me do that. And then the Bengals have to be saying, are you kidding me? There was 2 great interior defensive linemen that both happened to go right before we needed a guy, so that's unfortunate for them, for sure. But there's a guy I keep mocking higher than everyone else is. That is going to be Kool-Aid McKinstry, who I just think is a really good player and a really underrated player. I think not enough people are talking about how good he is, and I think he would also fit this scheme incredibly well. So let me pick him at number 18. It's not a reach for me. I like him that much. To me, he's the highest player on my board that's still available. I think he's good. So the Steelers, so Fatanu goes at number 19 to the Rams. I like Jackson Powers Johnson to the Steelers. I believe he's still available. Yeah, he is. He feels like a good fit for me. I'll have him go here. And then next up, the Dolphins could use an offensive lineman. I think I'm going to go J.C. Latham for them. That feels like a good pick. So then we had a handful of NFC teams in a row go. So Terran Arnold goes to the Eagles, yeah, sure, that makes sense. Get them in, defensive back. Armarius Mims to the, Vikings, I guess, to help out. Dallas Turner, okay, so maybe not. I thought they got I forgot they didn't get a quarterback. So there's that. Graham Barton to the Cowboys makes sense. Nate Wiggins to the Packers makes sense, and Cooper DeJean to the Bucks makes sense. And Leo Latu, how did he fall that far? I thought he was already. I would have drafted him earlier had I realized he was still on the board. Bad job by me. But okay, Cardinals get a really happy with that pick. I think they would maybe not love the Joe Alt pick, but feel better about that late pick if you're a Cardinals fan. 28 to the Bills, which this is a no-brainer for me, I think. Run in the card, Brian Thomas Jr. I think they would love to have Brian Thomas Jr., who could really be a Diggs replacement in a lot of ways. So he goes, and Adonai Mitchell to the Lions, which is a bit of a surprise. I don't think he's someone who a lot of people would expect this to go that early, but I don't know. I wouldn't hate it. The Lions could use a receiver, I suppose. The Ravens are interesting here, so I'm trying to look at my board again, figure out exactly what's necessary. Clowney was a real good piece for them last year. He's still, he is no longer on the board. He's no longer on their team. He could resign, but if he doesn't, I kind of like the idea of let's go after Chop Robinson. It kind of could do some of the similar things. Is a really unique player. They do value edge rushers, and they do like to draft edge rushers. So let's do that. We'll see who the 49ers select Tyler Guyton with pick 31, and that leaves us with the Kansas City Chiefs, which to me, kind of the two options would be, do you go after a someone like Ladd McConkey, who is a very key piece, or do you try to get an offensive lineman? I don't know if there's really an offensive lineman that's like, oh yeah, that's the guy to take here. I think it's almost kind of an obvious choice. I mean, and again, with the Mitchell also gone, Ladd McConkey's kind of clearly the best wide receiver here. So yeah, this feels like a pretty easy one for me. So give me Ladd McConkey here. Interesting. So I'm assuming there was less AFC teams, or maybe I just went through it quickly. I'm not sure, but kind of went through quickly this list. But there were some interesting things. Like, for example, the Cardinals with Joe Alt, not really something I considered, but like, okay, if Harrison is gone at 3, I don't think it's a crazy thing to do. I don't think it's like, oh, you absolutely should never do that, because I do think Alt is really good, and they could use a tackle. Like a franchise left tackle for Kyler is great, and, get a receiver in round 2, right? That would totally, make some sense. And I guess, I'm trying to think. It's, I guess, what they traded with number 27 to get Leo Latu. So that's what happened there. I guess, PFF traded with themselves at certain points. I didn't realize they were going to do that, but that's totally fine. But yeah, so that was an interesting, I think, situation that occurred during all of this. I think like Odunze falling was kind of a unique thing. And like Brock Bowers, who seemingly gets drafted in a bunch of different areas, I drafted him with the Bears in one of my mock drafts and got kind of, people said, they wouldn't do that. Well, PFF also had the Bears drafting him there. I also think it's interesting to see some of the receivers fall, like specifically Brian Thomas falling to the Bills, which isn't something I thought of. And while I'm not sure if that would happen, it does make me wonder, do the Bills consider a trade up a little bit and try to get Brian Thomas Jr.? Because that is a good fit. Not really something I thought of, but I do like that fit a lot. And also just the quarterbacks are interesting, right? Like if the Vikings decide they don't want to go quarterback here, like, what does that mean if there isn't the trade up? If there isn't the quarterback gold rush like there might be, then what happens? I don't know. But it's definitely an interesting situation for a lot of these teams. So yeah, definitely a fun exercise. Kind of, made me think of things I hadn't thought of before. So yeah, those are my thoughts. That's what I would do if I was controlling every AFC team. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.